Most Rocket League players are obsessed with all of the flashy stuff. Flip resets, ceiling shots, psychos. But the problem is that you can grind these mechanics for thousands of hours and still not even rank up, because the skills that actually win games are the ones that usually nobody actually talks about. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the most underrated skills in Rocket League, and these ones are going to give you real results at every rank without needing insane mechanics. Let's get into it. The first underrated skill I have on my list is hitting the ball hard. And this sounds almost too simple, but it's insanely underrated. Because being able to hit the ball hard on purpose is genuinely one of the most valuable skills in the game. Think about how many situations hard touches apply for. You can clear the ball upfield when you're under pressure. You can pass the ball upfield to your teammate for a redirect. You can shoot on net, which will often be a goal. Even just booming the ball past one defender can create tons of space. The fact is that a powerful hit forces your opponents to do something. Defenders will often have less time, goalkeepers will often panic more, and mistakes are often going to happen way faster. But what most players mess up is when they try to place the ball before they can even strike it cleanly. Firstly, you need to be able to learn how to consistently hit the ball hard. And then, once you're able to hit the ball hard without any issues, then you can start to look at accuracy. You don't need a flip reset if your shot is just top bins and super powerful. And if you want to train hitting the ball hard, you need to just focus on banging it in the center of mass with the correct part of your card that actually gets power. The way I recommend training it is just going into free play and chasing the ball and just banging it as hard as you possibly can, off of walls, off of the ceiling, off of everything. And try to eventually also end the sequence in a power shot on goal. This way, you're just banging the ball as hard as you can, getting comfortable, just getting a lot of power on it. The second underrated skill that I have is getting more small pads. And this one separates the good players from very, very consistent players. Because most people are actually just obsessed with big boost. But the truth is that the best players are almost never on zero boost. And that's because they're constantly picking up small pads while rotating through the field. So if you can build the habit of grabbing more small pads while rotating, you can stay in the play longer, you can avoid overcommitting for boost, and you won't have to panic because you're always on 12 boost or 0 boost. And a little sub skill inside of this skill is something that's arguably even more underrated, which is being good on low boost. Because you don't need 100 boost to always make a good play. Sometimes you can shadow defend with 20 boost. And there's a quote from Squishy Muffins, a former pro, who once said, with 12 boost, you can almost save any shot in the game. And I think it's absolutely true. Because the fact of the matter is that if you're really good at low boost, positioning, movement, you can genuinely save almost any shot. And one of the best ways to train getting more small pads and also low boost management is to play 1v1s. And I'm a person who hates 1v1s, so if I'm telling you 1v1s is effective for this, you know it must be true. Because ones forces you to play smart when you're low boost, because you don't have a teammate to rely on. It also forces you to take efficient pad routes, so you're not just on zero boost all the time. And it requires you to stop wasting boost for no reason on plays that don't matter. In every game mode, you should obviously start paying attention to your pad routes, and if you do nothing else but grab pads more often, I promise you, your consistency will genuinely skyrocket. The third underrated skill is a personal favorite of mine, which is bumps and demos. And this is arguably the most underrated skill on this list, because even though people are starting to bump and demo way more often than they did a year ago or 2 years ago, bumps are still so insanely versatile, and most people still don't use them. You can bump a defender for an open net for your teammate. You can bump the last man in a 1v1 and score yourself. You can go for air dribble bumps on goal, or you can even do air dribble bump passes if you're a bit of a higher ranked player. They're just so incredibly versatile because in so many plays in Rocket League. You can go for a bump or a demo, and it'll be a good play. And the reason they're so strong is very simple. They remove a defender from the play entirely. And some people like to avoid bumps because they think it's cheap or unsportsmanlike or whatever. But here's the reality, right? Winning is the objective of every single game you play. And if a bump or a demo creates a goal, it's a good play. Period. And because so many players don't expect them, they're way harder to defend against than they actually should be. So what I want you to do is to start seeing bumps as a tool of winning games instead of some gimmick, and your offense will become way more dangerous. But I do have to mention that honestly, bumps are very, very good on defense as well. For example, when going for a force for your teammate who's last man and you're first man, sometimes you don't even have to hit the ball. Sometimes you can just bump the opponent off the ball and your teammate can get a free possession. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is just look for more bumps in your rank games. The fourth skill that is super underrated is flicks. And flicks are genuinely one of the highest value mechanics in Rocket League. And you might be confused on what I mean by that, so let me explain. In the lower and mid ranks in the game, flicks are incredibly hard to defend, and they're actually not that hard to learn. And that's why they're such a bang for your buck mechanic. Because the fact is that most players can't even flick the ball very hard. Most players also don't expect flicks a lot of the time, because no one is good at them. And a lot of the time, people will just not be able to save good, powerful, and good placed flicks. So if you can dribble just enough to threaten a flick, you will force defenders into panicking a lot of the time. Because if you show one powerful and fast flick, now you're already in their head and you become insanely difficult to read. Because they have to think, oh well, what if he flicks again and it's in my net again? Or what if he's not going to flick again this time and he's going to fake instead? There's so many different opportunities that you have. And also, what is a great thing about flicks is that you don't need 10 different flicks. Even 1, 2, maybe 3 consistent flicks done well can carry you all the way up to like GC1 at least. In my journey through the ranks, I was always pretty bad at aerial mechanics, so I was really good on the ground, naturally. And I was always really emphasizing my flicks. And I got so good at the 45-degree flick that I would just be able to score it from anywhere at any time in most of these middle type of ranks like Diamond, Champ, and Plat. Because most people in there just cannot save a good 45-degree flick. Again, the best way to practice flicks, I would just recommend doing free play, just getting the ball on top of your car, trying to flick it on target, and after the flick, just reset the ball back into the middle, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And do this hundreds of times, and your flicks will get incredible. I promise you. The fifth underrated skill that I have for you in this video are double taps. Because double taps are insanely powerful, and especially in those middle ranks. And the reason they're so underrated is very simple. Most players are terrible at backboard defense. In ranks like Diamond and Champ, defenders either don't go backboard at all, or they go too late, or they just sit in net panicking and just kind of waiting for you to basically score on them. And this makes double taps way easier than most people think. And a lot of the time, you don't even need to do anything fancy. If you just hit the ball hard into the backboard and then jump up, follow it, and just double tap it in, it'll genuinely be a goal. And this is because most players just don't expect the follow-up and they're not able to read backboard bounces when they're in their net. So if you can learn to recognize when a double tap is available, you'll start scoring goals that are super free. And you don't even need to be that mechanical. You just need to read the bounce faster than your opponent does. And that's why double taps are such a high impact skill in these diamond and above ranks. In my opinion, the best way to train double taps and get better at them is, again, I like free play a lot, just hitting the ball hard and going for a double tap, going off the wall and hitting it into the back foot and going for a double tap. But you can also do training packs if you enjoy those. There's a lot of double tap training packs that you can use and try to practice those. Again, the process is very simple. all you need to do is figure out how you want to train them, and then just do as many hours of training them as you can. It's really that simple. Sixth skill that I have for you, which is so underrated, is a very important one, and it actually has nothing to do with mechanics. And it's the skill of staying positive and confident regardless of how the game is going. Because most players actually just tilt all the time. At their teammates, if they just want to blame them and cope. At themselves, if they're super self-critical and don't like the way they're playing. Or just after a bad game. And once that happens, they stop improving. So if you, watching this video right now, if you can lose without raging, if you can make a mistake without spiraling and losing all your confidence, and if you can stay confident and play well after a bad performance, you will rank up over time. Every single time. Because confidence lets you go for plays without hesitation. It lets you trust your decisions more and actually improve instead of just playing scared and ranked. Because the fact is that the players who rank up the fastest aren't the ones who, never lose or never make mistakes. They're the ones who don't collapse mentally when they do lose and when they do make a mistake. And I'm not speaking from moral high ground here. I'm a person who tilts a lot and I take breaks because of it. But I can tell you is that every time I've ranked up and reached a new peak, or I've played the best Rocket League that I've played, or I've had a really good session where I went up 100 MMR, whatever it might be, every single time I've had one of those things happen, it's been when I've played firstly super confident, and secondly super positive, not blaming myself or my teammate and just kind of taking the game as it comes to me. So I promise you, if you stay positive and confident, regardless of how the game is going or how the session is going, you will improve and rank up. I just want to conclude by saying that none of these skills are super flashy, but they do win you games. So if you just focus on a few of these, or even all of these, you will improve faster than most people who are just grinding double, triple flip resets. Because improvement isn't always about doing the hardest thing, but it's about doing the right thing consistently. So if you enjoyed this video and you like how I explain things, I just started a coaching program on MetaFi. It will be the first link in the description, so if you want to take your game to the next level, make sure to check me out on there. I hope you guys enjoyed, good luck in your games, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.